I'm Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan is starting a new kind of military exercise this week. What the Defense Ministry says is to handle emerging threats from China. Our defense reporter Jaime Okan has been following developments here in Taipei and joins us live from our newsroom. Jaime, can you explain more about these exercises?
That's right. So the drills do start today, and some people are calling them unprecedented. That's because they're the first of their kind. Now, they don't have an official name, but a rough translation describes these as immediate combat readiness drills, which will be involving all branches of the military and will last for 5 days. Sources have told us that this kind of exercise will not involve any live fire, but simulates a situation in which China's gray zone warfare, gray zone activities turn into an actual military attack. So this drill will see military units mobilizing and deploying to various defensive positions. China has already reacted to the exercises, sending 26 military aircraft as part of a patrol around waters around Taiwan. Many people are calling these exercises mini Hangguang, of course referring to Taiwan's largest annual military exercises known as the Hangguang drills, in which Taiwan simulates an all-out attack from China. And so those exercises actually start at the end of July. And so one of the main goals of these drills is to get soldiers ready and warmed up for those larger scale exercises that will happen at the end of the summer.
Jaime, why is this happening now? Is it a response to anything specific?
No, not anything specific, but it's more of a combination of these gray zone threats that Taiwan has recently really started to see more of. Gray zone warfare, that term, it's aggressive actions that are definitely not peaceful, but it's also not a full act of war. These activities include suspicious cargo ships sailing around Taiwan, looking for undersea cables, and most recently also psychological warfare. This morning, an official account from China's Ministry of State Security released the full names, photos, and ID numbers of 4 individuals within Taiwan's military, within the Information and Electronic Warfare Command. Now, they say that they are henchmen, that they are so-called separatist forces supporting Taiwan independence. The Electronic Warfare Command responded to that using the same phrase that the Ministry of Defense used last time, saying that China is the biggest threat to security in the Indo-Pacific and that the military here will take any operations necessary in order to protect Taiwan's democracy. Now, I want to go back to the military exercises that we're going to see because back in March, Taiwan's defense minister told us that one of the top priorities is for Taiwan to handle the gray zone threat. So these exercises this week in which we see Taiwan's military spring into action and react quickly to these unusual and always not so usually defined threats, the frequency of these drills is something that I think we're going to see much more of in the future.
Thanks, Jaime. That was Jaime Okan live from our newsroom in Taipei. In an increasingly uncertain world, like-minded democracies must stick together. That's the message coming from the Yushan Forum, an annual meeting of global figures. Rick Lauer reports.
This is the Yushan Forum, a meeting of global dignitaries here in Taipei, hosted by Taiwan's Foreign Ministry. Now, in its 8th year, the annual 2-day meeting looks to build bridges across the Indo-Pacific, raise Taiwan's voice in the region, and lessen economic reliance on China. President Lai Ching-te says this push should now include like-minded countries further afield. This year, a number of important figures from Europe attended, warning of new geopolitical uncertainties under US President Donald Trump.
Since January, the relationship has become increasingly transactional. President Trump sees the world in terms of 3 power centers: Washington, Beijing, and Moscow. We need to ask what that means for countries like Taiwan.
Taiwan uses this forum to push its soft power and foster people-to-people connections, highlighting its position as a high-tech hub that can use semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and quantum technology for good.
Taiwan is intent on working side by side with other countries to face the challenges of this new era. Today's Taiwan celebrates not only the democratic achievements that are recognized by the international community, but also our strength in the semiconductor and tech industries, which enable us to play a key role in restructuring global democratic supply chains and the economic order.
Taiwan faces an uphill battle in engaging in important diplomacy like this. China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory, hits out at other countries for engaging with Taiwan diplomatically. But the messages from this forum are clear, that the world order is in flux, authoritarian leaders are emboldened, and like-minded countries must stick together. Klein Wong and Rick Lowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is protesting the, quote, unilateral change of its representative office's name in South Africa, calling the country's decision to side with China a blow to democracy. Originally called the Taipei Liaison Office, South Africa has renamed Taiwan's diplomatic mission in Pretoria to the Taipei Commercial Office on a government website. South Africa had previously asked Taiwan to rename and relocate the office. Taipei has requested official negotiations to handle the issue, but those have not taken place. China is reportedly prosecuting a Taiwan-based publisher, saying he endangered national security. Louise Watt reports.
After 2 years in Chinese detention, reports now that a Taiwan-based publisher who published books critical of the Communist Party has been indicted on a charge of endangering national security. Li Yanhe, who's better known by his pen name Fu Cha, was detained 2 years ago on a trip to Shanghai to renounce his Chinese citizenship. Chinese authorities said later Li was suspected of activities jeopardizing national security. Taiwan's semi-official Straits Exchange Foundation says they're continuing to monitor the case. They haven't confirmed his indictment. Taiwan's government sees the case as making a symbolic propaganda example of a man who published material Beijing didn't like. Lu Fi Li and Louise Watt in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's annual military marathon has received controversy this year, as people noticed the race's trophy design featured a surprising item. Chelsea Wu has the story.
And they're off. Taiwan's Three Schools Marathon, the only foot race that takes place inside military areas, is underway in Kaohsiung, but it hasn't gone off without a hitch. Controversy erupted online when several people noticed something wrong with the trophy, which features a rifle, strikingly similar to one used by China's People's Liberation Army.
一开始我以为是6五步枪啊，当兵是拿这一种做奖牌的单位，可能自己没有注意啦，因为现在台湾很多奖牌都从大陆那边去制造。
This year's marathon attracted 2,500 participants, many of them former or retired service members. And while many were surprised about the trophy's design, some also said they hadn't immediately caught the difference after years away from the military. The marathon was organized by the Fengshan Jogging Association and the office of Xu Zijie, a lawmaker from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party. Several politicians attended, and it had the official support of Taiwan's Defense Ministry and the Army Command Headquarters. Yet, no one seems to have noticed the issue with the trophy's design.
因为你是要颁给人家的，你要细看，而不是说你大约这样乱过去就好。
The organizers have apologized, promising to replace the trophies and to pay more attention in the future.
承办单位疏失，使用非我国军枪支制作奖杯，我已要求立即回收，造成相关单位及民众困扰，向大家道歉。
The marathon offers a chance for many of the runners to relive their time in the military, but the mistake, from an event meant to celebrate Taiwan's military and national identity, has left some feeling confused and embarrassed. Scott Huang and Chelsea Wu for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Taiwan's TSMC proves his tough trade policies work. Here's what he said about its chair, C.C. Wei.
Mr. Wei, most respected, one of the most respected people in business, forget about chips, from Taiwan. He's coming in, he's spending hundreds of billions of dollars, and he'll be spending it largely in Arizona. But these companies are coming in at levels that people haven't seen, and they're coming in because of the tariffs, and they're coming in because of Me Too.
TSMC recently announced plans to boost its investment in the U.S. to a total of $165 billion, a sum the White House calls the largest foreign direct investment in U.S. history. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs of 25% or more on imported chips. His administration's tariffs on metals, cars, and medicines have already raised fears over high costs and a global trade war. At least 40 people were killed by tornadoes in the U.S. over the weekend as violent storms hit the Midwest and South. John Van Trieste has the latest.
The wreck of a school bus hangs upside down from the ruins of Winterboro High School in the U.S. state of Alabama, a testament to just how fierce the storm that hit this community Saturday was. An 83-year-old was killed inside as violent winds tore the building apart. One of nearly 40 dead after a weekend of powerful tornadoes, which shredded towns and caused deadly accidents across the Midwest to the Deep South. A satellite trained on one part of the South captured Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas alive and crackling with lightning as severe weather pushed through the region. It was here in Missouri to the north, though, that saw the deadliest of the storms. At least a dozen people died as tornadoes hit the state. Some of them were found by neighbors as they set out to help the injured.
We were helping other people. We found a few bodies that was out in the field, a few deceased people. There was a guy that was probably about a quarter mile back behind us through all these trees and debris. We ended up packing him out on a backboard. His name was Mike Reynolds. We packed him out because he had a broken leg and arm. But it was a rough night.
For the 100,000 or so people who live in these parts of the U.S., spring storms and tornadoes are a part of life. But even people who grew up here were caught off guard by the force of the weekend's maelstrom.
I didn't think it was going to be this bad because we've been through storms before, but nowhere near close to this at all. Especially the time we spent our entire lives in Georgia, we've never experienced a type of thunderstorm like this at all.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he sent the National Guard to help recovery efforts in the state of Arkansas. But in damaged towns across the country, people are also banding together to get help where it's needed.
We started earlier this morning. We rode through, cleared everything, trying to help people see where the help needed to be. We stopped by this gentleman's house right here, and they had a bunch of trees on his yard and stuff, so stopped by to see if he needed help, and that's why we're here now, about to help him out.
But this is just the beginning of North America's tornado season, with activity peaking in late spring and early summer, meaning more intense weather is likely on the way. Joseph Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Japan plans to deploy long-range anti-ship missiles in its southern island of Kyushu next year. The move aims to protect the southwestern Ryukyu Islands, which lie close to Taiwan. Tokyo fears a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan, but it cites tensions with Beijing as the reason for not considering a location closer to China. The missiles have a range of 1,000 kilometers and, if placed on Kyushu, would put North Korea and China within striking distance. Movie stars from across Asia gathered in Hong Kong for this year's Asian Film Awards. Indian film All We Imagine as Light took home the award for Best Film. Meanwhile, Taiwanese actors Li Kangsheng and Yang Guimei won Best Supporting Actors. Actor Wu Kangren took home another accolade for Taiwan, winning the AFA Next Generation Award. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, traditional Japanese art goes digital at this immersive display in Tokyo. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan, around the world, and Washington, D.C., please download the TaiwanPlus app and follow us on social media.